When Mona Mercer realized she could hold her breath for a very long time, she was 9 years old and hiding in the upstairs bathroom while her mother and father argued downstairs. The air had been thick with cigarette smoke and resentment. She had counted the seconds in the mirror, watching her own face redden, thinking that if she could just become still enough, quiet enough, she could disappear. By the time she was 19 and halfway through her sophomore year at Northbridge College, she had perfected the art of disappearance. Northbridge was the kind of school with ivy climbing the brick facades and banners that promised belonging, excellence, home. Mona liked the word home best when it belonged to someone else. On campus, she was a psychology major with careful handwriting and a talent for listening. Professors praised her essays. Her classmates described her as calm. She worked part-time at the library, sliding returned books into their rightful places as though she were restoring order to the world. At her actual home, an aging split-level house 30 minutes away, order was a myth. Her mother, Denise, had once been warm and quick to laugh. But after Mona's father left when she was 11, something in Denise seemed to splinter. By the time she married Ron 2 years later, she was brittle, defensive, perpetually exhausted. Ron carried the smell of motor oil and beer with him like a second cologne. He had rules about everything: how loud the television should be, how long showers could last, how Mona should show respect by not speaking unless spoken to. He did not hit her. That was what Mona told herself whenever she tried to tally whether things were truly bad. He did not hit her. He just leaned too close when he was angry, his breath sour and hot, his words sharp enough to draw blood without leaving marks.
"I didn't like your attitude today,"
he would say, eyeing her textbooks on the kitchen table.
"You better not let me catch you rolling your eyes again."
Denise would stir whatever was on the stove and pretend not to hear. When winter break approached, Mona dreaded the idea of 3 uninterrupted weeks in that house. She had saved enough from her library job to stay on campus for part of it, but Northbridge closed most dorms for the holidays. Only students with special permission could remain, and she had not applied in time. That was when Caleb Thompson made his offer. She had met Caleb during freshman orientation, both of them lost outside the science building and too embarrassed to admit it. He had laughed first, a low, easy sound.
"You look like you're pretending to know where you're going,"
he had said.
"So do you,"
she had shot back. 2 years later, they had shared study sessions, coffee runs, late-night debates about philosophy and favorite childhood cartoons. Caleb was pre-med, ambitious, and kind in a way that felt uncomplicated. He remembered her exam dates and brought her granola bars when she forgot to eat. When she mentioned dreading winter break, he frowned.
"You don't have to go back there,"
he said quietly. She stared at him across the campus cafe table.
"I kind of do."
"No, I mean, you could come to my house. My mom loves having people over. We always have too much food. My little sisters would adore you."
The idea felt radical and fragile, like a soap bubble.
"I couldn't impose."
"It's not imposing. I promise."
He leaned forward.
"Mona, you're my best friend. I don't want you somewhere you're miserable."
She had trusted him for 2 years. Trusted the way he walked her back to her dorm without trying to hold her hand. Trusted the way he never pushed when she deflected questions about home. Trusted the way he listened. So she said yes. Caleb's house stood in a quiet suburban neighborhood strung with Christmas lights. His mother, Andrea, greeted Mona at the door with flour-dusted hands and an embrace that felt genuine.
"We've heard so much about you,"
she said warmly.
"Caleb talks about you constantly."
His twin sisters, Emma and Chloe, 12 and brimming with curiosity, pulled Mona into their orbit immediately. They showed her their rooms, their half-finished art projects, the backyard where they had built a lopsided snowman. For the first few days, Mona felt something unfamiliar blooming in her chest. Ease. She helped Andrea bake cookies. She watched holiday movies on the couch with the family, a blanket tucked around her legs. At night, she texted her mother brief updates.
"Staying at a friend's house. All good."
and received one-word responses. Caleb seemed proud to have her there. He introduced her to neighbors who stopped by with tins of fudge. He insisted she take the guest room, even though he had to share with his sisters while their grandmother visited.
You're our honorary sibling.
Emma declared, handing Mona a mug of hot chocolate crowned with whipped cream. Honorary. The word felt like a gift. The night everything shifted was quiet and unremarkable at first. Andrea and the girls had gone to a late church service. Caleb had opted to stay home, claiming he needed to study for a January placement exam. Mona, curled on the couch with a book, had said she would keep him company. They studied at the dining table for a while, trading jokes over flashcards. Later, they moved to the living room, the Christmas tree casting soft, colored lights across the walls. Snow began to fall outside, thick and steady.
You okay?
Caleb asked at some point, his voice softer than usual.
Yeah,
She said.
this is really nice.
He smiled, but there was something in his eyes she couldn't quite read.
You deserve nice things, Mona.
The compliment made her uncomfortable. She laughed it off.
That's debatable.
He shifted closer on the couch, close enough that their shoulders touched. They had hugged before, quick, friendly squeezes, but this proximity felt different, charged.
Caleb,
She began, unsure what she meant to say. She had always thought of him as just a friend and had told him as much before. There was no attraction there.
Caleb, I'm not interested.
What followed unraveled too quickly and too slowly at the same time. His hand on her knee, her body going rigid, her saying his name again, confusion bleeding into fear, his insistence, soft at first, then firmer, the tree lights blinking, blinking, blinking. She remembered the way her mind seemed to detach, floating somewhere near the ceiling. She remembered thinking, this is my fault. I came here. I said yes. I must have misled him. She did not scream. She did not fight the way she imagined she would in abstract conversations about danger. She froze, held her breath, disappeared. When Andrea and the girls returned, Mona was in the guest room with the door locked, sitting on the edge of the bed and staring at her hands. The next morning, she told Andrea that her mother had called and needed her home early. The lie tasted metallic. Andrea fussed over her, packing leftovers into containers and pressing them into Mona's arms.
Come back anytime.
She said.
You're family now.
Family. Caleb stood by the doorway, pale and silent. He did not try to stop her. Back at her mother's house, nothing had changed. Ron complained about the heating bill. Denise asked perfunctory questions about grades. Mona moved through the rooms like a ghost. At night, she lay awake, replaying the living room scene in relentless loops, editing it in her mind. Maybe she had leaned too close. Maybe she had smiled too much. Maybe she should have left the room when Andrea did. Maybe she should have fought harder. What ifs and self-deprecation swirled around her mind for the rest of winter break.